Philip. Good. Oh.
Hey, gathering, see we're going to get started. This time I'd like to call the Anderson County Council regular council meeting of March 17th to order. And before I ask Honorable Mr. Francis Crowder to lead us in invocation, pledge allegiance, I'd like to just would everybody keep in the thoughts and prayers the family of Ms. Frankie Dickerson. She served several years on the advisory board of the museum committee and also volunteered to work the front desk there. So let's please keep her in our thoughts, her and her family in our thoughts and prayers. This time we all rise. Crowder.
May we pray? Eternal God, my heart is heavy as I see those things that are going on in our world and our nation, our state. We know, Lord, that you're the great guider. You love us. You appreciate us. Help us to be humble servants that we might be doing the business of the people according to your great and gracious will. Now we pray for the men and women that serve us overseas and around the world. We pray that you will comfort with them. We pray for those that are sick and afflicted. You're the great healer. We know that all things are possible through you. We pray for this council tonight as it deliberates the business of the citizens. These things we ask in your precious and holy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, are there any changes or corrections to be made to the March 3rd regular council meeting?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Crowder?
I just have to, on page 8 of the minutes, line 41, insert the word 47. On page 10, line 16, let me expand it, insert I have. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Crowder.
I'm not sure, this is subject to confirmation, but I think on page 3, instead of Misty, I believe it's Missy, but get someone to check. And then on page 4, line 19, I think rather than Galen Kramer, I believe it was Galen Kramer, and that would be Creamer also. I believe that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We have a motion to accept those changes and corrections.
So moved.
We have a second. Mr. Allen. All in favor of the motion, show hands. Opposed, like sign. So the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 4, citizens' comments. As Mr. Harmon calls your name, please step forward. These matters first on the agenda are matters you're addressing. You got 3 minutes. There's a matters that's on the agenda items. Please address the chair. Keep in mind this is a council meeting. It's in a town hall meeting. Let's be civil. We don't have a name calling like yet. do, I'm going to ask you to step outside. I'll ask them gentlemen in the back to get you outside. Keep an orderly meeting here. We've got a lot to go over, and this is a council meeting. Mr. Harmon?
Mr. Chairman, there are 10 citizens signed up to speak. First person is Frank Presley.
Thank you, Frank Presley. I'm addressing item number 11C. As has been expressed in the past, this move to short-circuit the pursuit of Joey Preston has been seen coming a long time. We were assured by you, Mr. Chairman, that this journey to justice would not be derailed under any circumstance. I find this resolution shamefully convenient as to timing just prior to the Court of Appeals scheduled hearing of this case and the demand by a federal judge that Joey Preston should show cause why he should not pay back $1.2 million he was paid out from the criminal enterprise Ponzi scheme run by his colleague and our former council member, Ron Wilson, the same person who by his own admission supposedly single-handedly came up with this payout Mr. Preston received. If there was nothing to it, the appeals court wouldn't have accepted it. All we've heard from Joey Preston supporters is that it has cost too much and taken too long, both conditions that have not been brought about by us, but by Joey and his attorneys themselves. It is increasingly obvious every bit of this has been orchestrated and contrived down to the last detail. The fact that you are now sitting in the position to bring this to a vote and to shove whatever outcome there is down our throat just lets you know that because this matter is potentially closed, that it may bring your personal finances to the table. The sheer madness of this is that by passing this resolution, you are giving away the most powerful leverage that we have, and that's to drop the case. You tell our attorneys you have to drop the case, that means we have to prostrate ourselves in front of Mr. Preston and accept whatever outcome he gives us. Law is about negotiation, and if he wants this case to be dropped, he needs to give something up or give something back. Now, what I'd like to do, I would, on the heels of this, I'd like to address item number 2D, specifically the request by Robert Carroll for the transfer of $7,500 from the IT department to facilitate the shredding of county documents related to county operations. Now, I'd like for you to think about this. The transfer request is from Robert Carroll, the Director of Central Administrative Services. Does Mr. Carroll not have the foresight to budget for routine shredding? Why does he need this county council to approve this transfer for this specific purpose? Well, I'll tell you how this will play out. Sometime in the future, if, and I say if, there were any kind of investigation by the Justice Department or any other criminal or civil complaints filed in the federal courts or against any one or combination of you sitting there or the bureaucracy still left in place from the Preston era, the shredding of evidence or the backstory to financial dealings will be a pinnacle issue. And if you're one of the council members who votes to approve this transfer for this specific purpose, you are giving tacit approval for the shredding of those documents. Mr. Carroll will be able to say with plausible deniability that he did not do it, but that you all, in fact, gave permission for those documents to be shredded. Now is not a time that we should be shredding documents. Until all of this is settled, we need to put a moratorium on the shredding of documents because they may be called for in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Harmon. Next.
Next person is Charles Crow.
Mr. Burns, would you help me make sure he gets that mic?
I put it in. I'm just, that's good, thank you, I got it. My name is Charles Crow from the Five Forks Precinct, and after hearing your instructions tonight, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to just forget my whole entire presentation tonight and just speak straight to you people. I'm here tonight to speak against this 11C thing on the agenda. It's something that it needs to follow the course. And the course was, if I recall right, and I've been to a lot of the meetings, this council minus two, one that wasn't on the council and one that voted against it, the last vote you did on this was y'all voted to carry this through the appellate process. So I, for one, would like to hold you to the voting commitment that this council made. And so I know it was a year ago, and it was also a resolution, and it's only good for a year. I know all that. But rather than getting into name calling, I would like to tell you this. I don't know no names, but I'll say there's 5 people that people in this county just hold with total disregard. I hope nobody here tonight votes for this resolution because your name will be added to that list. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize I couldn't name no names, but at least everybody knows who we're talking about. Thank you very much.
Next, Mr. Harmon.
Next person is Mark Powell.
Mark Powell, Calendar District 7. Concerning the 11C, there's 7 of you sitting there. Only 1 of you have the D beside your name. I'm just curious. Last night was Anderson County Republican Party reorganization. How many of you were there to sign up as part of our party? Be an intriguing answer. Pertaining to the Joey Preston thing. You know, it's interesting. The last poll that Anderson Independent did, it looked like settle, settle, settle. Lo and behold, now that Ron Wilson has been exposed, now that Joey Preston has been exposed, being involved with all that, let's please don't forget, Ron Wilson is the person who wrote or had written the more than 3 times the value of the contract that Joey could have, would have, or should have been bought out at. Please don't forget that. So the tide has turned. I know many of you have people in your district who say, oh my God, I am so sick of this. You know what? They only hear what the news says. They haven't been here and lived this thing for almost 6 years like a lot of us have. We take it personal. I wish I could be one of those people like some of your constituents who are begging you to settle this thing and sit at home and not care and read in the paper, oh, I am sick of how much money Anderson County is spending. Wait a minute. Why did we spend so much money? Gracie Floyd's lawyer. Why did we spend so much money on that? The Monteperos. Where the heck are the Monteperos now? Their house is boarded up. They have cost us millions. Millions of it, hundreds of thousands of extra dollars on the frivolous lawsuits that they tried to stop this situation when it first started. Where are they now? Where are we? We are here. We're begging you. Please understand that for somehow, some reason, the guys who work in that building behind us are so tied to Anderson County, they won't make this thing happen. Matter of fact, one of the judges said, why would we even do this? He don't have no money to give it back anyway. He has $1.something million from the gold and silver scheme. So maybe he does have some money to give back. He can't pay his Visa bill or American Express. His house is in foreclosure. What is he doing with $100,000 he gets from Bamberg? What he's doing with $8 or so thousand he gets a month from my taxes? Look, people, this needs to go forward. At the Supreme Court level, everything that has been shot down across the street by the local yokel judges who are appointed, not elected, has been in our favor down in Columbia. This thing only has a little farther ways to go. Let it keep going. It's ludicrous that an individual sitting there with a D beside her name would actually say that this is hurting jobs. Oh my God. You guys have brought so many jobs to this county in the last 5 years. We're fixing to hear some more that Mr. Nelson's going to be talking about tonight. How could anyone claim that this is hurting Anderson County as far as the Joey Preston thing? Y'all are rocking hard, working hard, and getting a many jobs here to this county.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your consideration.
Next.
Ron Gilreath.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ron Gilreath. I live in County Council District 3. I was excited to see Ms. Floyd's proposed resolution in today's paper. I personally have always been opposed to this litigation. In my reduced rounds today, and it was reduced because I spent a half a day working on my taxes, but in my reduced rounds today, I solicited opinions and feelings from 30 of my acquaintances. All 30 unequivocally voiced their support for this resolution. I am here to ask you on their behalf to vote yes on the resolution. 100% of the citizens of Anderson County that I talked to today are ready to move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harmon.
Bob Martin.
Bob Martin, District 1. Ladies and gentlemen, I have 3 minutes to appeal to your moral fiber. You were elected to represent everybody. I don't stand here to represent 30 people. I stand here to represent your obligation. And I wish that anybody who votes for this tonight would resign so that we could have a special election and see if they retain their seat. Now, I know that's not going to happen because you don't have courage enough to do it. But you made a pact with us, and I ask you to keep it. And if you can't keep it, tell me why you can't keep it. I know people can change their mind, and I respect that. And whether you believe it or not, I respect every one of you for the time you spend here and for the service that you give in Anderson County. But this isn't service. This is betrayal. Thank you.
Mr. Harmon?
Denny Floyd.
Thank you. My name's Denny Floyd, Council District 5. I want to come to you to talk about the Joey Preston thing on the agenda tonight. One, we've heard over the past about our representative, or our people out here, y'all say, is calling saying, settle this thing, majority. But I tell you, I got to looking, and each one of you's got an average about 27,000 residents in each one of the districts, which means you've received over 13,000 calls if the majority has been telling you that. What you've received is hundreds of calls, and they yell the loudest. That's how you show strength, by yelling and screaming the loudest. It's a military tactic. So, it doesn't work. You're smart enough to know that, and I appreciate the fact that you are. This thing needs to stop. It needs to stop now. The one that's put it on the agenda should not be voting one way or the other on this. The representative in Council 3, I'll tell you, you have the paperwork before you now. In 2003 and 2004, he was part of the library trustees. Well, if you look at the picture and some of the writing, well, guess who he's tied in with at that point in time? That's Mr. Greer and Mr. Joey Preston. Is this, just a question, is this 10 years later, finally getting on council, time to pay back debt? Because in the last council, it was. They traded each other. They took care of each other. One scratched one's back, the other one scratched the other one. The councilman in District 3 should not vote. It's a moral issue. He should know that. You can stand in the choir and sing all day long, but when you get outside, it's what you do. Jesus Christ's favorite angel was Lucifer. Look where he's at today. Y'all need to do what you said you would do in the past, and that's carry this on. The money has been spent. All the money spent. You're down to pennies. To stop now would be one of two things, in my opinion. It would either be you're corrupt or stupidity. But that's my opinion. But everybody else can have their own. But I want to say, I appreciate every one of you and the pressure y'all have had. Mr. Chairman, I do realize you have had people tell you that it's time to stop it. But those numbers are the low numbers, not the high numbers. And I appreciate the pressure all of you have been under trying to get this thing settled. It's time to do what's right for the people in this county. And if you settle this now, I can tell you, I firmly believe, in stuff I've heard, you're opening yourself up for way more lawsuits than what you're dealing with right now. Thank y'all very much.
Buddy Ferguson.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Buddy Ferguson. I live in District 3. And first, I would like to take exception to what the previous speaker said about my councilman. I know him to be a fine man with his morals beyond reproach. And I guess the name calling doesn't apply to some folks, but that's all I'm going to say about any individual. My point for being here is I'm a taxpayer. I think it's time to put a stop to this lawsuit. The issue before you has cost this county a tremendous amount of money. It continues to cost this county a tremendous amount of money. We have needs that could be addressed with that money. Whether you were in favor of or opposed to it to start with, I think it's time for it to end. The voters, you asked about a majority, the voters of District 3 let themselves be heard on Election Day and elected Mr. Cole because of his stance on this issue. That's a majority. That's our democratic process. Now, we in Belton don't enjoy the growth that the rest of the county has seen. We can't even get a Walmart to build a store between Belton and Honeypath. A small one at that. We have lost all of our industry. We have lost all of our jobs. We don't have money to redo the parks for the kids. The only people benefiting from pursuing this lawsuit at this point are the lawyers. And in my opinion, the lawyers are rich enough. It's been said that you are here to represent the citizens of Anderson County. I urge you, when you vote, to consider all of the citizens of Anderson County and what is in their best interest from a business standpoint, not from a emotional standpoint. Stop throwing good money after bad down a dark hole that we no way possibly can recoup for this county. Thank you for your time.
Tom?
Elizabeth Fant.
Today's lesson is on the 3 C's: courage, conviction, and character. Do you have the courage to go through with this? Do you have the conviction to see it through? And do you have the character to not be swayed by money? Money talks. I see that we do this every time we start council. We say the Pledge of Allegiance, and I wonder how many of you really believe it under God. I see one council member every time we have the prayer who never prays, looks out and wanders and never, and she's smiling about it now. She thinks it's funny. It's not funny. We need to have men and women of character. I understand what my compadres in District 3 are saying. Everybody's tired of this. Everybody's tired of the money spent. But if you don't go forward with this and let the appeals process do what it's supposed to do, you're opening up a can of worms that's going to ask all of us to foot a bill of more than $1 million more. Because that's what the Preston lawyers are going to ask for. District 3 representative did not write this. This is straight out of her lawyer, Joey Preston's lawyer, all the cronies that are working against this thing to make it happen for him. In the Bible, in Deuteronomy, we talk about the 10 Commandments. Several of the 10 Commandments. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. Our former administrator admitted to doing that. Many of the staff in our district here were doing the same thing under his direction. In fact, several members, Mr. Cole, You know one of them. We're doing it blatantly in front of us. You must not testify falsely against your neighbor. Catergate and the whole thing with the sheriff's department was nothing but a cover-up for Joey Preston. I'm asking you, Mr. Cole, to think beyond what people are telling you, and let's finish this thing up, and be indeed a man of character, conviction, and do the right thing. You're new on the block. You don't know from hell's beans what all has happened. It needs to go through. If it goes through the appeals process and it goes down the drain, at least we have said we could do what we could do. I appeal to you to be a man of character, courage, and conviction.
Time, Mr. Chairman. Peggy Taylor.
Peggy Taylor, District 3, Hall Precinct. I come to you, not low enough, can you hear? I am speaking on 11C2. I am appealing to each of you. Better? Okay. I am appealing for each of you to go forward with this. We've been through this a long time. You are men and ladies of character. And I agree with what Ms. Vance said, and conviction. We talk about money. People say, well, there's no need to go forward. He does not have the money anyway. Okay, we gave him $1.2 million. Of that, it went to state retirement. We are continuing to pay him $8,000 a month. If he lives 20 years, the state retirement system's going to pay out $2 million. Now, many of you are state employees. We have state teachers, county employees. This is your money, and I do beg of you to please, let's go forward. It's kind of like we're running a race. We get to the finish line, and we're looking at it, and we quit. Why? But now, even if you really feel that you want to quit, if you want to give his attorneys $775,000 or so, I have a suggestion where the money should come from. If you're so convinced, let's take your salaries. You make $8,000 a month. We can get, for a few years, we could take your salary. And then county employees. How much? $8,000 a year, $7,000 a year. Thank you. No, $7,000 or $8,000 a year, somewhere in that line. Then we can take county employees' salary and say those making above $60,000 a year, cut their pay 10%. Let's show how convinced we are that it's the right thing to do. I know there are county employees who want to stop. I know there are some of you who want to stop. But you cannot put a price on justice. Right now, the Boston Marathon trial is going on. They are going to spend millions of dollars on that trial. Why don't they just stop? Could you realize how much money they could save by stopping the trial? Just stop. But justice is not free, and we have got to go forward. And I do beg of you, please keep your word, the promise you made us a year ago. Thank you.
Jean Pruitt.
Yes, I'm Jean Pruitt from District 3, County District 3, and I'm here to speak on the Joey Preston too. I know everybody's tired of it. I'm tired of it. In fact, I quit coming to council because I'm so sick of it. But I saw the survey this morning in the Independent, and it didn't look like to me that the majority was wanting you to settle this case. We had more that wanted you to carry it on, and the man talking about the money in Belton, not having anything in Belton. Well, District 3, Mr. Cole lives there. Why hasn't he worked to try to get something in Belton? And I heard somebody say a while ago that you are supposed to represent all of us. I had a councilman to tell me today he only represented his district, not the county, just his district. And I think that we have been through pure hell with this. And a lot of people, you talk to them, and they don't even know anything about what happened when Joey Preston was here. They don't care. How many came to the Republican meeting tonight? All of you are supposed to be Republicans, but one. One is wanting to pay Joey off, and one that was involved in the payoff. And I think that she shouldn't vote. I think that if Mr. Cole did do what he said, he shouldn't vote. And I know you work hard, and I appreciate all that you do for this county. We get aggravated and we're upset, and nobody knows unless they go up and look at the Daniel report how much money Joey Preston spent under the table for lawyers. Look how much he sued our county council. He cost our county so much money. But who paid it? We did, the taxpayers, and we're still paying him. And I think it's time that we let it go on, let it go to the very end, and if they say that give it to them, then all we can say is we tried. And hope and pray that we don't ever have to go through this again. And I hope that this council just takes a look at what all we've been through. A lot of you don't even know what Joey did, don't know what all he's been through. And I sat there and listened to that little girl say that she had an 8-year affair with Joey Preston. If that's not enough for him to be fired, what is? But he had people on the council that had women. I know for a fact they did. And was they fired? No. He had that over their head, so they did everything that he wanted them to do. So, Mr. Cole, you are my councilman now, and I pray that I know you ran on stopping this case. I heard that over and over and over again. I want you to know that a lot of people was just tired, and they gave up. And it's not that they didn't like Eddie. Eddie Moore was one of the best councilmen we've ever had. And the ones here that talk about how much money we spent, they don't know the half of it. And where are all these people, these 30 people, the 100 people that he went to see today? How many people are here that is saying to let this case go on? I've been here I've never seen before.
Anyone else?
No one else signed up, Mr. Chairman.
That's it. No, had to sign up. Moving on to item number 5, our annual report from Council of Governments, Mr. Steve Palacier. Hold on a minute, Palacier. Must have a technical problem. Hey, hang on a minute. Okay. Okay? Hey, Rusty, Mr. Burns, take him right there, I'll get accused.
All right, this would work better? Very good. We were pleased that we were able to help entities in Anderson County secure a little over $1.8 million in federal grant funds this year, including $60,000 grant to the county for the Gossett Street Brownfield project, $750,000 to the town of Iva for townwide water system improvements, $500,000 to the town of Pendleton for Mechanic Street upgrade and sewer project, $444,000 to Williamston for the Pinecrest sewer upgrade project, and $66,000 additional $66,000 to Williamston for the Farmers Market Community Center project. We were able to provide a little over $1.1 million in services to seniors in the county. This includes 52,000 meals, in addition to medical services, doctor's appointments, shelter, transportation, home care, home health care, and minor home repair. Obviously, this helps to reduce a strain on the county for serving a growing and significant portion of your population. We made $163,000 in loans to small businesses in the county, which helped to leverage $244,000 in private capital and created 11 new jobs in the county. And through this entrepreneurial small business loan program is really neat in that it's one of the few programs out there that target the homegrown business, the little guy. Of course, a lot of with our economic development incentives, for good reason, we're looking for the more significant investment and those that has multiplier effects, but it's nice to help the little guy as well. We're able to provide $220,000 for transit services, excuse me, able to buy a bus and a van for the DSN board, 2 vans for Senior Solutions to help get folks where they need around the county as well. And then finally, through our partners, our friends at WorkLink, they provided $1.3 million in workforce development money. This is money that goes to train people for jobs, whether that's out-of-school youth or adults, incumbent workers, apprenticeships, and folks who have lost their job due to changes in the economy. In addition to the financial return to the county, we provide other services as well, which I list on pages 2 and 3. I'm not going to read the whole list to you, but maybe a couple of highlights. As you can see in the handout, we continue to administer some grants projects that were awarded in the previous year, the Quick Job Center for Tri-County Tech, the town of Iva sewer improvements, West Pelzer water improvements, Williamston sewer improvements. A significant one over this past year was we got placed on the DOT program and now have preliminary engineering for the US 29 Cherokee Road Bridge project. Very dangerous situation with a low bridge and a high road and tall trucks that don't work too well. I think when I gave my report last year, I mentioned when this program was going through, a gentleman from Spartanburg County who was much younger, perhaps probably much quicker than Mr. Crowder, suggested that perhaps these funds should be transferred to the inland port, and made a case for that, to which Mr. Crowder's response was, "Go ahead, punk, make my day." As you can see, those funds are in Anderson County. Worked with the county, the city of Anderson and Belton on the home program, did some rehabilitation to 18 homes at a total of $422,000. Continue to work closely with our good friend Mr. Nelson and the economic development staff with our Infominum program, providing assistance in helping them to respond to requests for information and carrying out their vital service. Have others on there, but again, don't want to take all the time to go through those, and do hope you'll read those in your as you have time. And on the final page, I give a 10-year summary of grants to entities in Anderson County that we've worked with folks on, and that total for this year comes to about $10.4 million, and you can see the various projects in the handout. Mr. Dunn, that concludes my prepared remarks, but I'd certainly be glad to respond to any questions.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments? Ms. Wilson?
A quick thank you. Few people really completely understand the wonderful asset and resource that we have in the Appalachian Council of Governments. And if you would be so kind, Mr. Pelletier, to tell the public how they can access that part of the public available Infominum site so that they can see what an incredible tool is available. I think there's a free public site.
There is. I'd be glad to, Ms. Wilson. The Infominum program that we're talking about not only serves economic developers to give information that industrial and other business prospects need, but does also have a public site which used by businesses, students, people just looking for economic information, demographic information, workforce information, commuting patterns, and stuff like that. Couple ways to access that. Probably the easiest is to go to Google and just type in Infominum in South Carolina, or www.scinfominum.org, or www.scacog.org, but probably easiest just to Google Infominum in South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Pelletier. That goes under the heading of knowledge is power, and with the wonderful teamwork for our upstate and the county in particular, we have made incredible progress in rejuvenating the business community. Anderson County's open for business, and I believe we're ranked number 7 in the nation right now. But thank you for your role in that.
Amen.
And it's going to really help the east side of the county to have that Highway 29 project available soon. Thank you, Mr. Crowder, and all who helped. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair? Yeah. Just very quickly, Steve, I want to thank you for the work you do. You're actually helping bring money into this county, and you're doing a great job of it. But now next year, we may hit you up for a grant for a better sound system. So when you come next year, we'll be all set. Thanks, seriously. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Crowder?
Well, certainly, having been a businessman in my prior life before becoming a politician, there was one factor that I always looked at. It's called return on investment. Return on investment. Where else can we invest $75,000 and in return get multi-million dollars? I appreciate the professional staff that you have that works diligently on our behalf. I think also it's an example that one council member from one district worked on behalf of another district that needed a bridge raising and a road being built. So we on council do not just look at things that are for our district. We are committed to Anderson County, but we especially thank you for your leadership. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you. Ms. Parker, we really do appreciate you and the Appalachian or government, what all y'all do, and with Anderson County, really I appreciate the opportunity to work on work links together. Thank you very much. Appreciate
All right.
you. Thank y'all.
Y'all having me.
Moving on to item number 6, presentation of JROTC finalist drill, February 21st, Mr. Ken Waters, Ms. Angie Stringer.
All right, this is some competition that the ROTC did out at the Civic Center about 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we had some video of that, and you can turn your monitors on up here and take a look at that, and then you people in the audience will be able to see it up here. And I think Pendleton is going to be doing this every year. Is that right? Correct, Mr.? Yeah, and so I'm glad to see the schools working together with us on using that. Mr. Stringer, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. You get, they just that you got the controls there for that screen.
Have to ask COG for a new. Come on, that's your Beg your pardon?
She said she'd be glad to make you a copy, personal copy.
I can see it now, and I like for the folks to see it now, too.
Can y'all see it out here?
Good up there. Some of the pictures are so
Okay.
dark, you can't see them.
Must be your screen, Ms. Floyd, is showing up. Waters?
Look forward to next year.
Thank you, Mr. Waters. Mr. Allen?
Mr. Chair, this was sponsored by the School District 4 ROTC folks. They had 12 teams here this year. They're hoping to have at least 20 teams next year. And it really is interesting to see if you get a chance to stop over.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Stringer. Moving on to item number 7, request to address the council concerning regional airport noise, Mr. Norman Kraft. Mr. Kraft?
Thank you, council, for letting me appear here tonight. I wanted to get an opinion on all this stuff, but I won't have the time, so all I want to do tonight is talk about the air rights. I live out there off Highway 24. I live right across from the airport. I have been served with condemnation notices by eminent domain. But if I want you to take the paper and I want you to look, turn to the second page. This is my house. And then I want you to turn to the third page. If you'll notice that there are 4 pictures there, and all those pictures there are taken with that tree in front of the house. That's it. If you go to the 2 back pages back there, you'll find there's one chimney that's drawn on that plat. And then you go to the next back to page, you'll find one chimney. But they made a mistake there somewhere. There are 2 chimneys there. And if you go back to the second page, that every one of these photographs cover that chimney up. That chimney's not there in the photograph. Now, I got it on my phone right here that I took a picture of it before I left home. And the way that I took the picture, I got to the right of the tree, and I got the chimney. Now, I've been offered $2,600 for air rights. But in the meeting we had in 2013, the lady was presenting this, it was talking about easements. And up on the plat, the screen there, it talked about air rights to surrender. She was on the third page, and I asked her to go back. I said, would you explain those air rights? Oh, we're not here to talk about that. One man beside me says, how about the noises? They're going to increase. We're not going to talk about that. So now, if you look now, why was that chimney left out? Well, I had an appraiser come out for the property, and then I got a surveyor, man right here in town. And they surveyed it, and the reason that that chimney is not included in that drawing is that chimney is 3 feet up in the air right. That condemns my property, doesn't it, Mr. Burns? Does that condemn my property? How about you, Tommy? Does it condemn it?
I don't know. I'll have to find out and be sure. I just don't know.
But see,
wasn't aware of the chimney situation.
It's real evident the way the pictures were taken. Now, also, too, the company that did this, it says the appraisal process requires that the appraiser understand and employ proper valuation techniques that are necessary to produce a credible value estimate, not commit a substantial error, not render appraisal services in a careless or negligent manner, and sufficiently analyze prior sales or current contracts on the subject property. It says it is assumed that there are no hidden or inapparent conditions of the properties, subsoil or structures that render it more or less valuable. So then why was that chimney left out? It's been pushed down our throats out there. They would not answer questions, even air rights. They haven't got an answer yet as far as what air rights would give up. I know that I saw one on that screen up there that when we sign over to give you air rights, we can't complain about noise. One night, a plane came in, left at 3:30 in the morning. It's another jet, hadn't been coming, but it cracked the windows in the man's house behind me. My house shook. Now the Chinook helicopters have been coming in, but I called I called the manager out there at the airport and told me that that jet was from Clemson, so I called the president of the college up there. And ESPN were charter planes coming in. I haven't heard them anymore since then. They said they'd do everything they could to stop it. And then the Chinook airplanes, I've been trying to get the name of the military officer in Greenville that I want to talk to him and see who got him to start coming to the airport over there. I finally called Lindsey Graham, and they gave me a number to call and said, if that don't work, call back, call back. Now, we live out there, and I've been out there since 1963. And gradually watch the airport grow. And now the noise is increasing. Right now there's a bunch of people. We're getting up a petition to try to close it down. We know they can't do that, but we're going to let you know how we feel. Would you, since y'all feel intent of push it down our throats with the noise and all that's going on, would you trade houses with us? Would you trade houses with me, Tommy?
No, sir.
Would you? You? How about that, people? They want us to go through it, but they don't want to go through it, right? Huh?
How about address the chair here? Address the chair. We don't have no participation in the audience.
Do what, Tom?
No participation out there. If you address the chair, we'll get through this right here.
Okay. But you see what we're going through out there? We're having to put up with it. Now, they gave me an estimate of $2,600. But then they didn't include that chimney. That condemns my house. You understand, see? Do you see how they're trying to push it through? No matter what we say, you're the elite, we're the peons. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But you won't trade houses with us. Or when the surveyor came out, he was out there surveying my property. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm surveying. I said, I didn't give you permission to do that. He said, I got a court order that says I can. I said, you know, it takes low-life people like you to do something like this to tax-paying people, honest people that try to do it right. But I said, here's one thing I want to do. I want to come to your house. I want to go through your house, and anything that I find that you don't need, that I feel that you don't need, I'm going to take, oh, you're not coming to my house. No. But y'all have no regard for the other person. This man right here, he's the pusher of it, Mr. Burns. He's the pusher. And he has no concern about us as far as what we think. Why don't you put it to a vote, Tommy? That's your district out there.
Yes,
why don't you put it to a vote to see whether people want it or not? What I'd like for you to do is send out a petition And you describe the air rights that the people give up. I can't get nobody to tell me what they are that we give up. I do know about the noise. But then you tell how it's going to devalue the property. Our property out there, when this all keeps going, our property is worth nothing. It's worth nothing. But you won't trade with us, will you? You won't take that. You won't take that hit yourselves. You let us take it, and look what a job we did. Look what a job we did. People, you're not capable or rational enough to make a competent decision. You know why? I can answer that. Joey Preston payout. Isn't that enough? That's enough. So that's what, and I'm coming back later with some, I don't have time for all this other, but I'm coming back later. I have some issues with this man, and I've got other things I need to bring out. I'll come back in another meeting. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir. Mr. Dunn.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Ma'am.
No, I'm sorry.
Y'all talking to me?
Yes, Mr. Burns.
Yes, ma'am.
What needs to be done here to get this resolved?
It's a
The man, this gentleman has a concern. All right. It's not my district, so unfortunately I have not kept up, okay, with what's going on, okay? But I believe in doing the right thing. Okay, what could be done here to get this resolved?
Could I answer one question before he does?
No, 1 moment, sir.
I can look into that situation, Ms.
I can't hear you.
I can look into that situation.
Okay, we haven't.
Well, let me ask you.
We haven't already made some strides yet involving this situation and getting it solved.
Yes, ma'am. On many fronts we have. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. And
Try to do this. I'm going to call FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. I'm going to ask for an investigation on this. Now, this company that surveyed my property and came up with that appraisal is supposed to be a reliable, right? Reliable. If you'll give me just a moment, I'll show you. If you'll give me, can you give me a moment? If everybody would turn to the next to last page.
Sir, please keep in mind that you only have a short amount of time. You have 2 more minutes to go.
All right, if you look on the last page, the elevation on that, down at the bottom of my house, right there in the middle, is not supposed to be but 779 feet as far as the sea level mean. But when this survey found it, my chimney is 782 feet. Why did they leave it out?
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
It's supposed to be reliable, competent.
Okay, wait a minute. Mr. Burns, is it possible that you could sit with Mr. what's your name?
Kraft.
Mr. Kraft, and come to something that would please him as well as have the county do what he wants, even if it means getting a mediator to work with the both of you, because he has a point. I don't want to live where he lived. We had the same situation this past couple of months when we had a man who was living next door to a man who had open sewage coming out of the man's yard into this other person's yard. And we said we couldn't do anything about that either. But I wouldn't want to live in his house with the sewer, nor do I want to live in this.
That's time.
Excuse me, I have the floor.
That's time. 10 minutes on this thing.
I
You
know.
want us to ask to extend time, Ms. Floyd? We will.
I was just asking a question.
Well, time expired on this matter. You said he had 2 minutes. The time's over. He's been keeping time down here.
I know, but he had 2 minutes, Mr. Chair.
Well, the time's up for this matter. Well, are you asking for any more time?
I just want to finish my statement.
Well, time's up, Ms. Floyd.
So I can't finish my
No,
statement.
ma'am. What you call it?
See, that's one thing
Everybody's
about it.
fine.
When you get something,
Time, if you put, that's it,
you
Mr.
make a decision.
Mr. Kraft, that's it. Appreciate you.
That's the second time the floor has been snatched out from under me.
Moving on, next, item number 8, third reading. 8A 2015-006, authorizing pursuant to Title 4, Chapter 1 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, as amended, the expansion of the boundaries of the Joint County Industrial and Business Park jointly developed with Greenville County, South Carolina, to include certain real property located in Anderson County, South Carolina, the execution and delivery of infrastructure credit agreement and by among Anderson County, South Carolina, Piedmont Coca-Cola Bottling Company Partnership landlord to provide for infrastructure credits and other matters related thereto. This will be a public hearing. Anyone wishing to step forward to this and address this matter, please step forward and state your name and district and address the chair. A public hearing.
Charles Crowe, Five Forks Community. Mr. Chairman, I only got a question, and I've got several, but I'll just ask the one, and maybe I might get some information. It's just a question as to if this is a joint thing with Anderson County and Greenville County, and it's been stated that we're giving them 30 years of free taxes. What is Greenville County contributing? And are we? I know how the joint thing works. What goes up in the park. If we went over in Greenville would be the one having to give the property taxes and stuff. But what's the balance here? And how do we arrive at the 30 years and this kind of stuff? And I'll take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else wishing to speak to this matter? Anyone on this public hearing? Hearing none, public hearing will be closed. We're moving on. Mr. Burris Nelson.
Seems like it's working now. Well, maybe not. Mr. Chairman, members of council, well, that's not. Chairman, members of council, we have for us for third reading and public hearing Project Upstate, which is Coca-Cola Consolidated. That is a multi-county park agreement for an infrastructure credit. The infrastructure credit, and in the first year, the property taxes paid last year was $117, and then, well, mercy. First year's property taxes, which will probably be now 2017, will pay $175,800 in property tax. The second year's $173,000 to Anderson County, $466, $171,000, and it goes on and on. Total over 30 years, they will pay $160. They'll pay, mercy, that's not the right, I got $163 million. I'm not sure that's the right number for 30 years. That's a lot of money.
I don't think that's the right number.
The total taxes, that's on the Al, Rusty.
Okay.
That's the other one. Oh, that's Coca-Cola. That's right. Yeah. Total taxes over the 30 years would be $6,460,773. That project is bringing 147 jobs. Average salary is $19.72 an hour, with an approximate payroll of $5,790,000. Capital investment's $13.5 million. It's a 30-year agreement, a 6% assessment ratio, and commercial property is a 6% assessment ratio anyway. So the agreement sets with an SSRC of 30 years, an SSRC of 30% that runs for 10 years. That runs about $73,000 a year in discount, which was accounted in those numbers that I just gave. So that's already taken off of those figures. And that is an offset for the sewer lift station, sewer lines, and fire suppression tank, and fire suppression at the plant facility. First year community impact is $12,700,000. Over 20 years, $148 million in total impact to the community. This information comes to council as a recommendation from staff and Economic Development Advisory Board, and we respectfully request you give favorable consideration to this project.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. We have a motion.
I make a motion that we move forward.
Motion, Mr. Allen, second, Mr. Waters, second by Ms. Wilson. Any discussion? Mr. Allen?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, Mr. Crow asked a question a second ago, and maybe Burris, you can answer this if you can do it in 25 words or less, how this joint park system works and why we give them 30 years, but we're in a joint situation and Greenville doesn't have to do that. If you could explain that.
Multi-county park agreement allows two counties to agree to tax the same property, which makes it a type of fee in lieu of tax. We actually share 1% of that fee stream because it's no longer a tax, it becomes a fee. 1% of that fee stream with Greenville. They have a reciprocal agreement with projects that they have in Greenville County. Their reciprocal agreement sends us $60,000 a year more than we send them. But it allows us to be able, county council, to be able to have the authority to handle the tax flow coming off of that property to be used either for some incentive or for some infrastructure development or credit.
And is that state law?
Sure,
state law. Okay. Now, if this Coca-Cola plant was going to be in Greenville County and we had a industrial park together, they might be giving the 30-year reduction in taxes, fee in lieu of, and we would be getting the 1%.
Right.
That's the way that works. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Wilson?
First of all, congratulations, and it's always encouraging that we have an expanding labor force as well as better employment numbers. But would it be appropriate to share this with Mr. Crow after we finish third reading? Okay, thank you. Anyone who needs a copy after we finish third reading, this would provide a lot of information, except for the number that has to be corrected. I'll give him mine, I correct.
And Burris, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Waters.
If Mr. Crow has any questions, you're available to answer those. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Is that good with you? Okey-doke. Next question.
All in favor of the motion, show of hands. Opposed, like sign, so the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 9, second reading, 9A 2015-005, a supplemental ordinance to amend ordinance 2014-016, operating capital budgets of Anderson County for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2014 and ending June 30th. This will be a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter, please step forward and state your name, district, address the chair, please. Public hearing.
Frank Presley. I'm not sure if this is covered in this ordinance. Probably if here, would ask her if this includes the transfer of the $100,000 for voice over IP services that was talked about at 2 finance committee meetings ago. Did it include this? Do you know, Mr. Burns? Okay. I previously expressed a concern about voice over IP services that are being purchased by the county. In my experience, and I've had a lengthy experience in voice over IP, generally the people the vendor who provides those services, much like when you go and get a phone contract and sign a 2-year commitment, and they give you the phone or give it to you at a very reduced cost, that's how voice over IP systems work. Because the vendor makes the money off of the service and not off the hardware. They generally give you the hardware. So I'm not sure where this $250,000, because we previously had $160,000 allocated to voice over IP. So this is roughly $250,000 that we have allocated to voice over IP, which Mr. Crowder, being the tech person he is, probably recognizes the fact that it takes very little equipment to convert the old system over to voice over IP. So what they're spending $250,000 of, I have no idea. I have a little bit of an inkling because I just saw $7,500 being transferred or being requested to be transferred out of the IT department to shred county documents. So it looks like the IT department is one of those little cubby holes where money's tucked away for other things, because we're definitely not spending $250,000 on voice over IP hardware. I would like to see the breakdown on that. So I would like for you to strongly consider that not to take this as a package deal and to look at these things more individually, because $250,000 for voice over IP is not money well spent. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Hearing to be closed. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Wilson, second, Mr. Waters. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Floyd?
Okay, I want to be sure first. Is this the ordinance that was supposed to move X amount of dollars out of the operated and capital budgets of Anderson County to put on the roads?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, what did I miss? Because, I mean, the gentleman talked about a voice over IP in this. What's that about?
Yes, ma'am, that was in there in our discussion we had earlier. Yes, ma'am, it's in there.
While I was sitting up here in the finance committee,
Workshop.
in the finance workshop? I don't remember that. I don't remember that because from the onset, we talked about getting money from that budget, and we were going to put the money on roads and bridges because Mr. Burns know that I have been talking with him about this, and I was told that this money would be going on the roads to in Anderson County, because my concern was that how was that going to happen? Will we be getting more money to put with this money and at the beginning of the new fiscal year? And I was told yes. I never heard anything about what was it, voice over IP. Mr. Burns, we never discussed that. I thank you for that. Didn't know a thing about that. I'd like to see the breakdown of that one too. That never came up. It might have come up in the financial meeting, which I am not invited to. I can go if I want to, but the air would be so hostile. I decided not to go. But I don't know anything about that one. You have some information on it? The what? Oh, you on the financial committee? Yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, whatever, Anderson County.
Anyone else? Ms. Wilson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For many, many years, I've asked questions regarding the finances of the county and met with a great deal of resistance and got very little information. And if you were watching the money back then, you would notice that at the end of every fiscal year, there would be millions of dollars sometimes transferred, sometimes even 3 or 4 months after the close of the fiscal year. It didn't track the budget. It was like money sloshing from one compartment to another. It just, we had no real internal financial control, and it appeared that we had very little recognition of the issues in our external audits. But this that's being presented today, I have to confess I know little about voice over IP, but the other items I understand. We're actually putting more money toward paving. This is the first year the county's really been in a position to do that, and I'll go over some of that later. But when this council came in 2009, it was virtually a scorched and salted earth with $29 million of new debt that had been dumped to you and I, the taxpayers, all of us. There was even a failure to budget a $500,000 debt service payment. So obviously we were taken by surprise for that. It's been a long, arduous struggle, but the end result is this county is doing really well with its financial controls now, certainly relative to years past. Our transparency is far greater. We're finally winning many awards in transparency now. And we finally have supplemental budgets. When something is out of kilter, we make adjustments and we make them publicly. And the public has the ability to register input. So hopefully everybody will recognize that this is a dramatic improvement over what we've had before. And I would request the speaker who questioned the voice over IP, perhaps he could meet with some of our people who have that expertise, and if there's an adjustment or some suggestions that might make it better, that might be a very helpful situation. But thank you. I'll support this.
Oh, it's on. Hello, everybody's mic's going out. If you actually go to the page in your agenda tonight, for ordinance 2015-005, it clearly outlines how the money that's going to be transferred in this supplemental appropriation is used. It's set forth into the material that we have. And if you'll notice that it does have a priority for funding, and it even shows how much money each of the 7 districts will receive additionally. In addition to that, you will see an item called professional services, which is the additional money to fund the voice over IP. You'll recall that we had a budget for funds available, but when we got the bid in, it exceeded what we had appropriated. So there is clear, transparent acknowledgement of how this supplemental budget will be used, contained in tonight's agenda. Totally clear. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Floyd.
I'm looking at the ordinance 2015-005, and I don't even see the voiceover under the general fund appropriations, excuse me. I see the general fund revenue, the appropriation, but I don't see the voice over IP, whatever it's called. He's showing me something that I don't have. Mr. Byrne, do you have a copy of this? Can you show me where the voice over IP is listed in this? I beg your pardon? Oh, Rita is here. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. It's the second line item under General Fund Appropriations. It's entitled Professional Services.
Okay, second item under what now? Okay, Professional Services.
Yes, ma'am.
Professional Services. That's the IP, the voice over IP?
Yes, ma'am. That's the title of the account from which it will be spent.
But why did we put just voice over IP? Why professional? Professional services to me is when we get someone to come in, like an accountant, to do our book, who offers this service to us. This voice over IP, is that a machine? What does it do? What is it?
We are engaging IT professionals to come in and assist us in the implementation of the voice over IP telephone system, if council approves.
That's the telephone system?
Yes, ma'am.
But we didn't put it down for we just put professional services. Okay. All right. Sunshine Law, awards and stuff for open, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else? I just want to say, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, this and everything on this thing was fully vetted at a workshop council meeting. We had it, not finance, we had a special budget workshop meeting.
Yes.
To bring about this.
Yes, sir.
All in favor of the motion, show of hands. All opposed? So the motion carries with Mr. Waters, Mr. Allen, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Cole, Crowder, Ms. Wilson in favor, Ms. Floyd opposed.
I didn't say I opposed.
I called for abstention, you throwed your hand up. I called for opposed, you throwed your hand up.
You didn't call for.
I didn't because you throwed your hand up. Are you abstaining, Ms. Floyd?
Yes, I'm abstaining.
Ms. Floyd abstains.
Good.
We'll take a 5-minute break.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, boy. Ooh, 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 ooh.
That's the way I feel.